Welcome to the January 7th, 2025 meeting of the Parks, Landmarks, and Cultural Affairs Committee. My name is Neil Barkley. I'm the chair of the committee, and tonight we are joined by Community Coordinator Brian Lafferty. This meeting is called to order at 6:30 p.m. As a reminder, New York State law requires all committee members who are not able to attend the meeting in person to have their cameras on and their first and last names displayed from the time the meeting is called to order until the time the meeting is adjourned. Members of the public who are attending virtually, you can raise any questions or comments that you have through the Q&A feature of Zoom. Members of the public who are here in person, you can raise any questions that you have by raising your hand. If there is time following the committee's discussion, we will field questions from the public. And Sarah Whittington will be taking minutes this evening. So now we will take attendance, and Brian Lafferty will conduct a roll call.
Thanks, Neil. Committee members, I'll call your name. When your name is called, please say present. I'll announce if there is quorum. Neil Barkley.
Present.
Thank you. Marty Barrett.
Present.
Thank you. Paige Judge.
Present.
Thank you. Anton Malner.
Present.
Thank you. Reshma Patel.
Present.
Thank you. Letty Simon.
Present.
Thank you. Mark Thompson. I don't see Mark. Sarah Whittington.
Present.
Thank you. Robert Farfan.
Present.
Thank you. Gloria Hayes.
Present.
Thank you. Rabia Iqbal. Okay, no speaker. So with 9 and 12 members present, we have a quorum.
Okay, thank you, Brian. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and it is reflected on the screen before you. If there's no objection, there we go. If there's no objection, we will adopt the agenda. Members of the committee, if you have objection to adopting the agenda, please raise your hand. So, seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. The minutes from the December 3rd, 2024 meeting were distributed ahead of time by the board office. If there is no objection, we will adopt the minutes as drafted. Members of the committee, if you object to adopting the minutes, please raise your hand. All right. Seeing no objections, the minutes from the December 3rd, 2024 meeting are adopted. They will soon be available on the CB6 website. So just some ground rules. We'll put these down. A few rules. Number 1, no one may speak until granted the floor. Number 2, committee members who are in person, if you have a question about committee business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and I will identify you so you can speak. 3, committee members unable to attend in person. If you have a question about committee business, you may raise your hand through Zoom and I will identify you so you can speak. For all committee members, it is extremely important that only one person speak at a time so the members of the public watching at home can understand what is being said by each committee member. Number 5, and Brian has put this in big red letters. The chat function for committee members present via Zoom should not be used for committee business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat should only be used to alert us to any technical difficulties you are having or to state in writing information like an email address that was already stated aloud on the record during the meeting. Now, we have tonight's agenda. So on the agenda, there was just a slight, there's a slight change. So instead of the report from the Parks and Recreation Department, instead of that one being first, the discussion about Astor Levy, we're going to move that up to number 1. We have a few guests on here with that. 2 will be the Just 1 second. 2 will be the NYC Department of Parks and Recreation report, and then 3 will be the Japan Society. I think that's pretty much it, right? I think that's everything. Okay, so first off, just like to say welcome everyone. We have a nice big group, so it's really nice to see this much participation from the community. Of this is the community board, of course. Looking at some of the attendees, I know that we had a lot of people who signed up. But I'll just mention them because I don't necessarily see them here. We'd just like to thank some of the different groups and individuals who participate and take care of our district, including we have Lisa DeVito with I guess almost every park in the district. She's very involved with Stuyvesant Square Park, Ralph Bunche Park, and now she's also doing work at Esther Levy Park. Phyllis Manglis, who is not online yet, so she'll say that I didn't recognize her. We didn't recognize her, but Phyllis does a lot of work with Stuyvesant Square Park Neighborhood Association, and we also have Maureen Linnes here, who is the new, I believe, executive director.
President.
Yes, okay. The new president of the Stuyvesant, the Sutton Place Parks Conservancy. And so we welcome Maureen, and we look forward to working with her. So starting with all that being said, we can start off with the first part of our agenda, and that will be Ken Connors. I think you will take that away, Ken. How are you tonight?
Hey, good evening. I do want to first turn it over to our Borough Commissioner, Manhattan Borough Commissioner, who's in the room tonight.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Really quick, I just wanted to say hello. Although I'm looking at everybody online, I guess I should have shown up online, but it's nice to see all of you. I just wanted to really come by in person. I know that Ken's going to be talking about Astor Levy tonight, but I always look for an excuse to see the community boards. Many of you know me from the VP's office. I still feel relatively new to the Parks Department, and I'm here really to listen and to learn and to meet you all. Really, I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you, Ken, for being here. I'll just say that I know very well how important Astor Levy is to the community. We're really proud of having so many amazing rec centers. I don't need to tell this crowd how important our recreation centers are. But I will say that they are very important to us. And I think overall, this idea of having a major over $13 million investment here is a really good thing to celebrate. I know that it's tough because construction is always tough, but we're here to to give everybody a little bit more information about the project, to make sure everybody is managing our expectations, that we know as much, that you have the information that we have, and then we'll try to forge ahead together. But looking forward to listening in tonight, and thank you, Ken, for talking about Astor Levy.
Great, thanks, Commissioner. So my name is Ken Conyers. I am the Chief of Manhattan Recreation. Part of my roles and responsibilities to oversee the 13 recreation centers in Manhattan. Tonight, we're here to discuss Astor Levy. Just going to give a quick update and discuss the scope of the project. I know there's been a lot of questions and concerns around it, so I hope by giving the brief summary, we answer some of that for you tonight, and then be available for some questions. So the Astor Levy project, as Commissioner said, is a $13 million investment. It is a long time coming. The investment started back when Sandy hit the area and hit New York City, and some of the impact to that is still present in the building today. So the project is funded by FEMA. There's also New York City mayoral, borough president, and council member funding in the project as well, and we are super appreciative of that for all the local electeds. So the project is a comprehensive project, and I know many people checked out Capital Tracker online and saw a very brief description of what the project was, and it really seemed like it focused around HVAC. And so people were asking questions like, how are we spending millions of dollars on just HVAC? And why are we closing for just HVAC? So the project is a lot more. So I'm just going to go through some of the scope of the project. So there's a better understanding exactly the magnitude of this project and exactly what's going to be handled. So we're going to be replacing the entire electrical system and all the pool equipment. That's both for the indoor and the outdoor pool. We're going to be adding air conditioning, heating, and ventilation to many different areas of the building, including the lobby, the fitness rooms, the multipurpose rooms, locker room areas. So the building's going to get back to having HVAC and good heat and ventilation. We are adding a gas generator for emergencies and power outages.
Second.
A brand new fire alarm system that was compromised during Sandy. We are going to replace some additional mechanical systems, but the big one being the electrical. We are completely removing and replacing the distribution center of the distribution system, all the electrical panels, and a lot of the electrical going throughout the building. We are replacing units on top of the building and units below. So we have to brace the roof for some new units on the roof and also all the new
One moment.
equipment in the basement. One of the other things that we are doing, because learning from Sandy and learning from that situation, we are flood proofing our basement and we are raising it to ensure that equipment is off the ground. So should anything ever occur in the future, we are prepared for that and we will not have all of our systems offline. So we are currently in procurement stage. So the capital projects go through 3 different phases: is construction, procurement, and design, procurement, and then construction. We are in the procurement stage. So we are nearing the end of it. The procurement has been a lengthy process. Usually it's about a year for capital projects. With the FEMA involvement and some of the federal money, this one was longer, but we are nearing the end and we expect that to be wrapped up around March 2025. At that point, we will move towards the RFP and towards the selection of a contractor and then for the project to begin. So just to reiterate the project scope, this is a really invasive project where we are essentially ripping out the mechanicals and the guts of the building and then completely replacing it. So all areas of the building are going to get attention and replacement of ceilings and walls and HVAC equipment and whatever it needs to be impacted. And we're going into the ceiling. The roof has to be completely stabilized for brand new units. Part of the holdup of the procurement and the extension of time is because there's some new regulations around refrigerant and HVAC equipment, and so we are essentially replacing that equipment within the contract just to ensure that we are meeting all requirements and all current laws. Just trying to think. So I think that's pretty much the scope of the project, where we are today, and part of the reason for the closure. I think I'll stop there.
Okay. Right. Thank you, Ken. Okay, Marty?
I have a couple of questions. Is it fully funded?
The project is fully funded, yes.
Okay. For many years, we had been under the impression that the windows in the facilities needed a replacement. You didn't mention that. Is that part of the project, or had that been done previously?
It is not part of this project, but there is another project that is funded, and that's going to take care of windows and facade. So there's a lot of investment going into Asleepy Rec Center. Not just this project. This is $13 million, but then there are other projects either right behind it or at the same time. The timing has not been aligned yet.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Marty. Is there anyone else on the committee? Okay, so what we could do now, we can open this up to the public. First, we would say that comments will be for 1 minute. So whoever is speaking, you'll have 1 minute to speak. just because we have, you know, a great number of people here. That's number one. Number two, the focus here will just be on the renovations at Astor Levy. Because of time, you know, we want everyone to be heard. So those will be the two rules, the two guidelines, you know, we'll follow. So it looks like, Brian, you can add Lily, so we can hear from her. And yeah, you could promote her, and like I said, we can just make sure we also set the timer for a minute. All right. Lily, the floor is yours.
Let me promote her. One moment. Lily, you should be able to unmute.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you, everyone at CB6 for making this happen. And thank you, Ken, and everyone from Parks for attending. I actually have quite a few questions. I understand that we're only allowed 1 minute apiece. If there are no other questions from others, I'll go through the most important ones. And then if you guys would be willing to loop me back, that would be great. So Ken, what's the expected timeline? Could you clarify that a little bit more for us? And also as far as having a clear communication channel, because we've been looking at the capital projects webpage, but it's not really giving us a lot of information. So we want to be able to have some sort of open communication channel with Parks Department to keep everything transparent so everyone's in the loop. And I think that's really been the biggest challenge. You know, we're aware that Parks is, you guys are huge and you're managing multiple projects. So if there is a point contact that we could communicate with if this thing is going to be 1.5 years. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
the expected timeline is 18 months. Most of our capital projects are 18 months. The contractors do have 18 months to complete the project. You know, as our commissioner often says, we are, you know, 95% are on target and on time. So we expect this as well to be there. We work very hard to return amenities back to the public. So again, 18-month project. We do recognize and we thank everybody for bringing to our attention the vagueness on the website about the project. It helped us to understand some of the correspondence we were getting, and so as of today, that has been expanded. So if you look at that, it has been updated to reflect current timeline, and it has been expanded to reflect the project itself. And then as point of contact, I'm probably one of your best points of contact, and I'm available. Like I said, I directly manage these facilities with our center managers, and I could be happy to provide any updates when they're available.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. If we're kept in the loop, I have more questions, but I'm happy to let other people go first. Thank
Okay,
you.
we could see if we can circle back depending on how many other
Thank
people
you.
we
Thank
have.
you, Neil.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Do we have anyone else?
Sandy, request the floor.
Yep. Hi, Sandy.
Hi, I'm wondering, is this a landmark building? Will we have to go through the landmark process?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there are aspects of it, the doors and windows and other things that are. So I don't know the full scope, and maybe Commissioner, I'm not sure if you.
Yeah, so for something that's internal, I don't think we actually have any sort of internal landmarks here. So there's nothing for the internal guts of the building for this project that would need to go through the landmark process. But I do have a follow-up question for you, Ken, about the windows and facade piece to that. I'm sure that will probably need to get reviewed. And I also want to know more about that timeline. Maybe we can get back to this group about like that timeline and how it syncs up, or if it doesn't sync up. I just want to make sure that everybody's aware of everything that's happening to this building and when, and that sort of thing, just as much as we know. So we may have to have a follow-up piece of that, but for the internal guts, I'm 99.9% sure that wouldn't get
You'll still have to go to landmarks if it's landmark.
The internal piece, sure, but it probably would be a staff level thing that wouldn't have any sort of public input or anything else like
Yeah,
that.
it's already been redone, the internal, because it used to be all white marble.
And, you know, it doesn't matter,
Oh, okay.
landmarks
Yeah.
makes, and if you're doing something on the roof,
Yeah.
it will definitely,
Mhm.
they'll wanna know about that, so I'll check while we're in the meeting.
The
But is
the LPC's website says that Astor Levy is a landmark.
So it will have, and then you'll go through PDC as well?
I really don't think that's the whole piece, is that like, I don't think that for internal HVAC work, that goes through like a normal, like a public input piece. I think it's a staff level review
Yeah.
for at LPC. I think that for facade and windows, we should be expecting something that's a little bit bigger, but I'm not, but we were just having another conversation about another building. And like that kind of internal piece to this, didn't come up.
They just make you do it anyway.
Yeah.
But hopefully it's not public, because just that has to all be as part of the process.
We do have though, I mean, thankfully, I'm not in charge of that process, but I know that there are people who do come from the world of landmarks, who work for parks, who have kind of regular conversations with LPC on this sort of thing, and will of course abide by all kind of rules and guidelines for that.
They just can train. And I guess, is it possible then that, you know, I know Sheena gives us a monthly update, could this be added to her typical monthly question or, you know, report that she did?
So I think that we were just talking about this beforehand. I definitely want to make sure everybody should have Ken's and contact information. Everybody here should have Sheena's information and Mike McLean for that matter. And I'm gonna leave a stack of my cards here too. So everybody should have all of those contact informations. The way that Parks internally is kind of organized is that all of our rec centers really report up to Ken Conyers. So Ken and I talk truly once every 3 hours is probably our average timeline. So we will make sure that Sheena I'll just ask you just to check in with Ken and check in with me before you're at each meeting, so that when we have kind of updates on construction, update dates or anything else like that, that Sheena can pass them, Ken can give them to Sheena to pass along, or if there's something, you know.
Commissioner, I'll add that we do have a new center manager at Astor Levy, Erica Serrano, who's been at Astor Levy before, and she will be managing the building. She'll also be attending these calls as well, so she'll be able to provide updates as well.
Perfect, so there'll be kind of multiple ways, but I think it's totally absolutely absolutely appropriate to give regular updates throughout the construction process to keep everybody on track.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have some questions. Brian, if we can go through those.
Sure. I'll start at the beginning. Francisco Perez Gonzalez asked about the depth of the
Yeah,
pool.
so that one, let me see. Yeah, those two are related to the pool. Let me
Yeah,
sure, we haven't had many people from the public. Sure, we can answer. Yeah, we can ask that.
they say the 4-foot depth for the pool is unusable for swimming, and that the pools use salt water. Pools that use salt water, provide the best user experience. However, public health code usually still requires minimum levels of chlorine. Although we understand that perhaps this is best handled at another time, but I don't know if there's any comment.
So funny, so I don't know if I think he's probably referring to the outdoor pool, which we're excited about coming back online, we hope this summer, pending additional checks, but we're on pushing for this. I very much appreciate the feedback on saltwater pools. I frankly have not been a part of this agency long enough to really know anything more than I know that we use chlorine in our pools and just have regular chlorine pools, but we can certainly take it back. And we'll maybe just take this as an opportunity just to point out that you know, we know how important the indoor and outdoor pool are here. We talk about it all the time. Frankly, before I even was legally a part of the parks team, I asked to go to Astor Levy. Only Astor Levy was the only rec center I visited to look at their indoor and outdoor pool specifically, because I know how important it is. It's iconic and it's really important to the health of this community. So we know it's these spaces, even if they are to the gentleman's opinion, you know, even if they are, he doesn't want like that there's chlorine and he wants a saltwater pool, we just know in general how important our pools are. So it's a complicated system where all of the kind of guts of the pool are actually in the basement of Astor Levy. And so that's part of this whole upgrade package that Ken has been talking about. But I can certainly pass along the comments around the importance of saltwater pools. I think it'd be great. Give me a space or we can certainly work into it, but I know that the pools in Manhattan are all chlorine pools.
Thank you.
Thank
and I
you,
see,
Commissioner. Yeah, Juliana.
Juliana Ronderos, says that the gym equipment is in poor condition. Only one of the 8 treadmills is working right now. So they're asking, if there'll be fixes to the everyday equipment and if there'll be updates to the equipment.
Sure, I can answer that. So, you know, we work hard to keep that unit, that building is the largest fitness room. We work extremely hard to keep our equipment in that location in great shape. We do recognize that there are some treadmills that are out of service. We are working with our service provider to repair them. As far as equipment upgrades, we have recently upgraded some equipment in the building. There was new dumbbells, there were some new pieces of equipment that were brought in last year. And every single year we do add a few pieces or replace a few pieces in the fitness rooms, and we'll continue to do that for that location. And when we close a building for capital construction, it's a great time for us to look at our buildings holistically. And so that will be part of the project. We'll be looking at the fitness room and other areas of the building to see what else that we can upgrade and do while the building is closed.
Can I just ask a follow-up question there really quick? Ken, how long does it typically take for the service provider to come out to check on the treadmills?
So typically we like it to be within 2 weeks. We do have a situation right now where one of our service provider is not within contract, and that's probably those treadmills that are out of service. The other ones would get serviced very quickly. So I can look and see. Last I checked, there was 2 out of service, and they were both had a ticket in for repair. So I will follow up on that tomorrow.
Okay, if we can come back, maybe we'll follow, I'm taking some notes here, but I wanna make sure we can get back with like a timeline for when they can expect to get those addressed.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Maureen.
Yeah, Maureen Phelps is asking if the whole facility will be closed for the entire 18-month period.
Yes, the entire facility will be closed for the 18 months. Like I said earlier, this is really a project where we're removing the guts of the building and the electrical and all that. And you can't safely phase a project when you're doing that. In addition, phasing the project that we found for New York City Parks, we really hate closing amenities, right? And we take that very serious. It actually makes the whole project go a lot quicker. Once you phase it, it just really extends it and adds a lot more money into the project. So I can assure you that this is the most cost-effective and fastest way to get this incredible project done.
Thank you. And then I
Thank
see
you.
Francisco Perez Gonzalez is requesting that, or wondering if the plans could be published or made public, because we know there's many architects in the community who would be interested in reviewing them.
So I assume that this must have gone, I'm making an assumption here, but this must have been presented prior to this, at least when we received these funds. It may have been several years ago since it goes back to FEMA money, but whatever we have on this typically the parks process is to present overall the scope of a project and those sorts of pieces to it. That is before the procurement process, so that's probably why it's been several years and quiet since then. But whatever we have, we can make sure that we send over to the community board to make sure that it's public. It may not be like detailed blueprint style plans, that's not typically what we put out there, but we do have like scope presentations and things like that. So whatever we have presented on this and whatever we have in terms of those like kind of materials, we're happy to make sure that are available. That is actually one criticism I have frankly of our website, is that we don't kind of all keep it in one place with this sort of stuff. But the tracker is very helpful, and we did make it a point to try to improve and expand that language.
And I think you're probably right, because I think this was part of the ESCR originally, which is, you know, ages. I don't think anybody in this room has knowledge of when that actually, maybe Marty's. But he would be the only one.
We'll make sure it may take us a little bit of time, but I'm happy to make sure that our team is looking at whatever has been previously presented on this, and going back, we'll make sure that this community board has.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I see, Robert Saray, knows that he goes to Asher Levy's gym 3 times a week, and he's asking if there are recommendations or alternative.
Ken, you want to talk about
Oh,
how membership works?
So you talk about alternatives during closure or just in general?
Yes, during closure.
Okay, sure. So we do have our network of 36 recreation centers in and around the city. If you have a pass to Asher Levy, you would have what they call a pool pass. The pool pass gets you into any one of our recreation centers. If you have a non-pool pass, those are limited to centers without a pool. But if you have a rec center membership to Asher Levy, again, any one of our rec centers, you would be able to attend. So the closest rec centers, and I'm happy to touch base with you offline as well and talk about the different amenities of our different rec centers in Manhattan. But Hamilton Fish would be a great one to go to for fitness and exercise, and the Conscious Baker Motley would be the next one for the indoor pool. But there are other facilities, and happy to share the amenities that each of them have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheryl Snyder, I'm sure we covered this, is asking about the anticipated start date, but just to make clear for everyone for the construction, we're anticipating what date?
Yeah, so I'll just say it, but then Ken, I'm looking to you to just confirm. So good news with this is that finally procurement is going to be finished come March. That's what we know thus far. If that changes, you will truly be the second person to know after me. So come March, that's when we expect procurement to end. When construction, we are committed to keeping the pool open for this summer, upcoming summer. We are already thinking about summer. This is all the conversations that we're having right now are about pools this summer, believe it or not, even in 19-degree weather. And so our expected construction start time is in the fall of 25, after the pool season. Ken's nodding his head, so I assume that's as good as the timeline we have right now, because procurement is not totally done. Once we totally get done with procurement, then we get into some of those detail planning pieces. And again, you'll hear it and you'll see it on the tracker as soon as we get any more details. Ken, am I at least 90% correct in what I just said?
I was gonna say that word for word. So yes, 100%.
Thank you.
And I see Maureen Phelps is inquiring if the playground and field will also be affected.
No, but confirm for me, Ken, that that's the case.
That's correct. Yeah, no park amenities are being affected.
Thank you.
And I see Lily L. It would like to confirm that there'll be monthly updates on construction provided to CB6 and therefore the public.
So I'll just flag that generally when construction is happening, particularly for 18 months, we may not have updates every month. However, Parks is always a part of these meetings. I will certainly commit to every single meeting that this committee has. We will be here if you have any question. If we have any sort of substantive updates, we will bring them to the board. And I am happy to make a note in my calendar to make sure that at a minimum 6 months into construction, even if nothing is going on and it's totally boring, we will still be back and I'll still ask Ken to give us an update. So I can certainly commit that. But there's a very high likelihood, we have construction projects going around that it's frankly just the work is going on. But I don't want anybody to think that we're not, you don't have access to the Parks Department. That's not our style and that's not what I want to happen here. So, regardless of, even if it's checking in, Sheena's always here. Ken, I'll make sure that your park manager, your rec manager also attends these too, just to give, even if it's a one sentence, like construction's still going, we're still on track, whatever it is. We want to make sure that people, and if you have any questions, you should of course come to us proactively and we're happy to answer. And, I'm sorry, because I'd love to talk. So I'll just say one more thing about this. Is that, Lily, I met you at Albano and you had expressed to me how important this was. And I totally agree with you. And that's frankly why I wanted to come here in person, not because really this is a rec thing, but this is as easy as it should be. You shouldn't have to, be searching too hard for anybody from the Parks Department on the recreation side or the park side to talk to us. Sandy and I text, it really shouldn't be any more difficult. So we'll make sure that you have plenty of contacts here. Typically it is Sheena, it is Mike, or Robert McLean. It should be our park manager. I'm grateful for Ken, who also oversees the entire borough, but for being here too. And myself, there should be plenty of points of contact here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lily also notes that there are concerns for many that Asher Levy could turn into a similar situation as Tony D'Aquilito Recreation Center, which was fully closed. And since it's in the procurement phase now, are you able, or is Parks able to reassure the public that Asher Levy will be entirely closed?
Yeah, interesting. I appreciate that. So interesting. I just had my 4 o'clock meeting today was all about Tony Dapp. It is definitely not the same projects. Although I totally understand from the outside the fear of having something closed and then having something closed forever. This is a fully funded project. Tony Dapp was built in 1908 in 3 different pieces and had some major structural concerns. This is in a different league, in a minor league sort of way. The difference between Major League Baseball and what my children pretend to do on Yorkville T-ball. So you're really talking about very different scenarios because it's going through, but I won't, the procurement phase, it doesn't necessarily have anything to kind of do with that sort of thing. Tony Dapp had some incredibly intense structural concerns. This is replacing HVAC and the guts of the building. Tony Dapp was like literally the building itself was having problems here. But I do understand, and I think that in general it's really tough to just from the outside see a building getting closed down for some long period of time with not enough information and that sort of thing. And to the best of our ability, I'm going to commit to you that we're going to do our best at just trying to break down. It's why we have so many members of our team here. It's why I'm here. We want to break down any sort of walls of miscommunication and just give everybody the information that we have.
Thank you.
And I see Cheryl Snyder asks, is it anticipated that the pools will have the same footprints that they currently have?
Yes, because we're not redoing the pools. Actually, if we were to redo the pools, it would be many, many more multitudes of millions of dollars more, to tell you the truth. It's not the pool basins that are getting changed at all, but it's the infrastructure behind it. And if you're, I hope that all the parkies on the line are hearing how simply I'm talking about this, because this is how my brain, that I'm still relatively new and this is as deep as I understand it. But in order to have those pools work, it takes a lot of plumbing and pipes and basins and filters and yada, 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 that gets all that working. That stuff is getting upgraded. It's not the actual basin that's getting changed.
Thank you. And Y. Brown, is inquiring how exercise classes will be accommodated during the project.
Those, whenever we close a building down, we typically like to add additional programming out in the community, whether it be in Astor Levy Park. We'll look for opportunities to do additional programming inside Astor Levy Park. That would be for both youth and adults. We're a little far off now, so I don't know what that looks like yet, but you'll see, we'll get it out to Community Board 6. We'll post flyers in the park, but you may see things like our Shape Up classes out there. You may see special events. You might see cultural events. You'll see fitness classes. So we will, during nice weather, we will program that park and keep it close to home.
Can I ask another question? Ken, what about staff? What about the staff? Like, what happens to Astor Levy staff during that time?
So the staff will be temporarily relocated to other centers and other locations, but they will also be used to service that area as well. So where they might go to Ham Fish, 2 days a week, they might be in Astor Levy Park doing programming.
Well, thank you so much to the commissioner and to Ken, and please come back anytime or as often as you would like. Thank you so much for joining us, and Happy New Year. We look forward to seeing you again and working with you.
You too. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. The only way that we could follow that up, it would be with Sheena Kaufman. So if Sheena can get, hey Sheena, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, good evening, everyone. You can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, oh, okay. So I have a few updates for everyone. So we're gonna start off with Augusta St. Gardens, right? So we're currently working on getting the permits approved before the project goes to procurement. Hopefully, this will take place sometime this spring. But I'll be back with an update once it takes place for Augusta St. Gardens. Okay, so this project is kind of moving really fast, at least on my end, I think, from other projects I've been involved with, because it's been a long time coming for this part, for this playground. But we're in that stage. The second one, I think, which is great, is Murphy's Brothers, the restroom, which was kind of big of a surprise for me tonight when I got the information that we anticipate the completion of the restroom in 2026, which was definitely a surprise to me. That was definitely really great. And that's going to be spring of 2026, not even fall, but spring of 2026. So I'll keep everybody posted when it's going to start, and the process on when we're going to finish up with the restroom, the public restroom. In this particular park, we'll be able to staff someone there 7 days a week as well, which will be great. So those was the two major things. So everybody is aware that we did open up Vincent Albano, and we had a opening ceremony there, and the commissioner attended that ceremony as well. The park is beautiful. It was beautifully done. And I can't wait to see it this spring, this spring when we're able to turn on the spray showers to see how the spray showers come out. Because of course it's winter, we can't see it, but it was like beautifully designed. And I'm looking forward to that. And everybody's aware that we did take down the scaffolding at Jack Hammerskull. So in the construction, our parks construction on the fountain area in the Hort area, had started. So hopefully a year from now, we'll have it back open. It was a bit of a setback because of the building problem that they was having next door to the park. And hopefully that can be resolved simultaneously. But I haven't seen any work being done there yet, as of yet. I'm not quite sure if Phyllis is on this call, but our team was able to take care of 80 rodent holes on the west side, which was great. We're using the RX machine, which is working out well. We're using it once a week with the staff, and we're making great progress in Stuyvesant with the rodents. And I'll keep everybody posted on how that's working out. But other than that, it was a quiet month of December. And hopefully moving forward, everything else will be quiet as well. And we can get back to spring because this cold weather is very, very intense right now.
Depressing. It's Anton?
Yeah, Sheena, this is a little bit out of CB6's purview, but unfortunately, people know that I sit on this committee and have been coming to me from Community Board 8's area. They keep asking about 24 Sycamore Park and whether any of that area is going to be paved, because apparently pickleball players are tripping over the cracks and potholes there. Any update or anything new up there?
Well, so far, I don't think we received any funding for the basketball court, handball court area. But I'll inquire it through Steve. I know there was some funding for the playground area, the bottom level of the playground, but not the basketball court or the handball court. But I'll ask about that, and see if it could get on, a future list to be redone. And I will speak up on, because we did get a couple of 311 calls about the restroom there. So we're planning on putting some porta potties there. That's our goal. Until we can make the necessary repairs. DOT can make the necessary repairs for the drain lines that's in the street. And we don't know the time frame. I can't tell you about how long that would take with DOT. But until then, we're going to just try to make it a little comfortable for, the people visiting the park by adding porta potties to the area. So we're working on that right now. We're just trying to find a vendor that we're going to be able to use for that, to accommodate the people in the public. But I'll bring that back to Steve and see what we can do about getting funding for the basketball court and the handball court area.
Thank you, appreciate that. Maybe you'll keep my wife and other people off my back on this.
Is there anyone else?
Sandy has a question
I
for
have a
Sheena?
question. Sheena, I know it's not in your district, but do you have any update for the East River Esplanade Lit Park renovations that are, I think on the tracker, it's scheduled to be finished design at the end of last year.
Robert McLean is on this call now, and he will answer that for you.
Thank you.
Hi, Robert. You should be able to unmute.
Oh, okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, well, I actually have some good news. We're in contact with one of the superiors at DOT, and they have replaced 35 of those broken lamps, pedestrian lamps, along the greenway off the, and this is terrific because I've been dealing with these people since the summer. And we have a very good fellow that's communicating back and forth with me twice a month. I don't want to bother him too much, but they have replaced 35 of those units from north and south of 100th Street along the FDR. And he has some work now on the other broken ones, but the conduit and the cable of some of these units are so degraded that they're going to have to redig and reinstall more cable and more conduit. But I'm in contact with him at least twice a month. I don't, like I said, I know he's busy, but he's a really, really nice fellow. His name is Mr. Reyes. That's the information for the DOT. And then there was a sinkhole on 99th Street off the FDR, and that sinkhole has been filled, and they are putting in a asphalt. It's a diversion walkway. Right now they're going on these boards. So starting yesterday, they're constructing an asphalt walkway around the sinkhole, and they'll be done in about 2 weeks. So between 96th and 103rd Street, that portion of the Esplanade is closed. But so this is actually pretty good news.
And actually, sorry to interrupt, but those aren't in our district. So
Okay.
I'm concerned with, it's from, 38th, the East River Esplanade that's part of CB6, which is just north of the ferry terminal.
Those, okay. Those, you mean those pedestrian lights that are out?
No, there's supposed to be a renovation of that part of the greenway to fix the bulkhead and some of the sinkholes that are in that park. And it's on the tracker to be finished at the end of last year. And I'm just wondering what the update is. There's also a badly damaged planter inside that park.
Okay, I don't know about that, but when I go back to the office tomorrow, I'll touch base with Steve Simon and see what that is. I had a conversation with a 311 person. I went to Steve, and the lights that are out now are going to be repaired. But as far as a renovation for the potholes, I don't know. But I can get back to you before the next meeting and find out when it's projected.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, Phyllis has her hand up.
Yes. We will promote you to panelist, Phyllis.
Yeah, yep.
And you should be able to
Hi, Phyllis.
unmute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, how are you?
Okay, great, thank you. I just had a couple of things. The East Side Park House renovation project. We were told back in October through Carlina's office that it would be in design by mid-November. But going on the capital project tracker, even up until today, it's not showing up. So could somebody check on that project and see where it stands?
I'll speak to Steve about that because I spoke with him earlier today about any upcoming things in District 6, and he did not even mention it. So I'll send him a text message once I end this call.
Okay, thank you. And then Sheena, regarding the rat abatement, you said they treated 80 holes in the West Park.
Yes.
Now, I had been getting some reports from Jamil, but I figured maybe over the holidays they weren't doing anything because of the way the holiday fell in the middle of the week. So do you know if they did any rat abatement, or if not, if they'll be starting again this week?
We did it last week. We treated 80 holes last
Week.
Wednesday.
Oh,
Last Wednesday.
last Wednesday was New Year's Day?
Yeah, last Wednesday. We worked. We had 7-day operation.
Oh, okay. So last Wednesday you treated 80 holes. Okay, so they're still planning on coming weekly for now?
Yes.
Okay,
Unless we have snow, then we are not able to do so.
okay, great. Would this snowstorm this week affect their rat abatement for this week?
I don't think so. I don't think
Okay.
if the weather is still cold, I don't think it'll work because the grounds are just too cold to, to dig in. But we'll try. We'll see what the weather looks like.
Yeah, well, it's good.
We're
It is.
supposed to get some snow Friday.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Okay, but it's great to know that they did it last week, so that's good. Okay, so that's all those were my two questions. Yeah, so if you can find out anything on that
I'll find out.
East Side
And I
Park
have-
House.
Okay, I'll talk to Steve because he definitely didn't mention it.
Okay, thank you.
And,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Phyllis. And Sheena, so we have a question from Elisa DeVito. She would like to know the machine that you are using at Stuyvesant Square Park against the rodents. Can you also use that at Ralph Bunch?
Right now we're really concentrating on Stuyvesant because that's our really cause for major concern. We can probably have our Borough Crews team come and do some treatment there, but we're not going to move anyone from Stuyvesant to treat Ralph Bunch at this point in time. We really need to address our concerns on Stuyvesant and getting that back up. I'll just put in a work order for them to see if they can stop by Ralph Bunch, but at this point in time, I can't dedicate anyone else because I just don't have the staff to do so to dedicate to another location. We gotta try to get Stuyvesant back in shape before I can move on. Once we get it back in shape, then we're gonna be able to go to other areas. But I don't want to lose focus on what we're really working on with Stuyvesant, because there's been a lot of a lot of major issues at Stuyvesant, and we're on a good course right now, and I want to stay on course. So we'll have them take a look at Ralph Bunch. I'll have our Borough Crews team take a look at Ralph Bunch.
Okay. Well, any other questions? I think that's it. Sheena, thank you so much for coming. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah, we want to have a nice evening.
Yeah, log off. Have fun.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Okay, we will move on to I'm sorry, we have Michael Cohen with his hand up. Can we recognize Michael?
Next month.
Michael, if you'd like, you can
Question in the chat.
unmute yourself, or you can put your question in the chat and we can relay it. Yeah, and Michael, you could also email your question to info@cbsix.org. And we can send it along to the appropriate person.
Okay. Okay, or if we figure it out later, we can come back. All right, so we reach the last point on the agenda. But last and certainly not least, we have Jamie Hook here from the Japan Society. He is the officer, foundations, and government official there, and the Japan Society is located at 333 East 47th Street, which is directly north of Dag Hammarskjöld Plaza. And Jamie, thank you so much for joining us and waiting. And so I know Michael's here, so we'll come back to Michael. So we'll just let Jamie start and go through since we've already started. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me. Can you all hear me a-okay?
Yes.
So very simply, first of all, I hope some of you at least are familiar with Japan Society. I know that even people on the CB6 board are members, so thank you very much for that. Real simply, we're a 120-year-old organization that's on a mission to try and connect and bring closer the people of Japan and the United States. We've existed since 1907. We've been in our current building, which is just north, as you mentioned, of Dag Hammarskjöld Plaza, right in the shadow of the Trump Tower, the big black Trump Tower. And we've been there since 1971. So I'm just going to let you guys quickly look at these slides. It's been a wonderful 120 years. We've had royalty visit us. We've had presidents visit us. We've had all kinds, Yoko Ono was there. We have all kinds of things going on at Japan Society at any given time. Opening this weekend, we have a dance festival. We have a wonderful exhibit in our galleries. And we also have all kinds of events that go on in our 280-seat theater that is downstairs. The reason for my coming here to the community board is that we seek from the community board a letter of support as we apply for, sorry, there you go. That's the building itself. Actually, this is interesting. It is the youngest landmarked building in New York City. It was built in 1971. It was the very first building in New York City that was built by a Japanese architect. And so for that reason and others, it was landmarked. You can go to the next slide real quick and we'll get through this. So yeah, we present all kinds of things. We teach language, we have food events, we have performing arts events, we have film events, obviously. We were really pleased to be the New York premiere for Shogun, which just won at the Golden Globes. So not all of our films are from the 1950s. Some of them are on television right now. And if you go to the last couple slides, we can just get through this quite quickly. So we have, there's a lot of, there's some businesses that are members of our organization. A lot of those tend to be, a lot of the events that serve the business community tend to be networking events. So some of the people we're talking about here would be prime ministers of Japan. Alfred Stieglitz is there at the bottom, famous economist, all kinds of folks. And just go ahead and bring us to the very end of this and I'll explain what we're doing. So there you go. There's some numbers of what we do. We have 50,000 attendees on site per year. We have 3,000 members. We have over 1 million people who hits on our website every year. And one of the things that we do, by the way, is almost every event that we have winds up on our website or on the YouTube. So that's a good way to access us. The reason we're coming to the community board today is we have been it's been more than a decade since we have upgraded our theater. The picture that you see there on the right is in fact a picture of the interior of our theater. It's a lovely theater, seats 280 people. The New York State Council for the Arts, which is a state organization, has an $80 million plan this year to fund infrastructure and capital projects. And the Japan Society hopes to upgrade our projection system. It's a two-pronged projection system. It consists of one projector that is used for movies. This is obviously a major piece of equipment that is something that you can't buy at B&H. You have to go directly to the vendor. And then we also need another smaller projector, and that is frequently actually used to project things like subtitles or interpretations. Sometimes we'll bring over a theater troupe from Japan that will be performing in both Japanese and English. And the only way that non-Japanese speakers can access some of their access what's going on is through subtitles, which are handled by a secondary projector. The total request that we are making to the New York State Council for the Arts is $79,500. The project itself is a $195,000 project. And what we seek from Community Board 6 is nothing more and nothing less than a letter of support. So I wanted to come here. I wanted to let you guys put a face with Japan Society. We are making a big push in this year and in general to try and be better neighbors to the area coming out of the COVID pandemic. So we're trying to strengthen our relationship with Community Board 6. We're trying to strengthen our relationship with Councilman Power's office. And one of the ways in which that support can help us and that then we can turn around and serve our community better is through things like this capital project that we are hoping that the community board will say, yes, we think this is a good idea. A letter of support is not binding in any way. All it is a letter that goes in with our application and communicates to the New York State Council for the Arts that yes, there's broad support for this project and this organization spread throughout the area, and that's why we are here tonight. So I would like to leave it at that and ask you guys to open it up for any questions you might have.
Does anyone have any questions?
I see Mary Bennett has a question. Marty Barrett.
Marty.
Yeah, the society is wonderful. I've been to events there. It's smack in the middle of CB6. Would the auditorium be available for any of our full board meetings?
That is the short answer is yes. The long answer is that it may be a little bit complicated. As you can imagine, an auditorium that close to the United Nations tends to occasionally be quite busy. And it is a very nice auditorium, but as I've mentioned before to your board chair, Sandra McKee, and to Jesus Perez, we're very open to a full board meeting if we can fit it in. I think we need to, I don't speak for the rental department, that's a separate department, but in general, as I mentioned, in our efforts to improve our neighborly quality, this is precisely the kind of request that we'd love to field. So I would say, let's go ahead and ask it. It's probably subject mostly to questions of timing and resource deployment, because I do know that that room is used very heavily in the evenings. This time, for example, you couldn't use it right now because they're loading in a show, but it's often available during the day. And there certainly are many organizations from the United Nations and whatnot. I think the United Nations Health Desk or something rented it last week. So it is certainly available. Oh, and I wanted to make one mention, sort of maybe anticipated question. Japan Society, we have events and our events cost money. We do, however, have quite a few ways to access the organization that do not cost money. So for example, we do subscribe to Museums for All, which is a citywide program that provides free access to SNAP benefit recipients in the New York City area. We also subscribe to Culture Pass, which, as you know, is a program that allows free access for people who have a membership with any of the library systems in New York. We subscribe to Free Fridays, which means that on Fridays, our gallery is free for anybody who wants to walk in. First Friday, sorry, not every Friday, the first Friday of the month. And then in addition, we have a school partnership program, which allows schools, underserved Title I schools all across the city of New York. It's not simply in CB6 and it's not even in Manhattan. It's anywhere in the city of New York. And all those students get free access to our programs and special programming that is tailored to them. So those are a small handful of the ways in which we do try and provide a backdoor into Japan Society for people who cannot afford our programs outright.
Thank you. Anyone else? Letty Simon. Letty?
Letty, you seem to be muted, Letty. There you go.
Letty number 1, not Letty number 2, with the glasses on.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear
Yes.
you.
Okay, I'm very interested in hearing about your plans to increase access and participation for the community. You said, I know we'd love to meet there, but seems that you're pretty much booked. What plans are there to increase access and participation in the community? It's a wonderful facility.
So this is a timely and interesting question. One of the things that actually we are working closely with our council member and indeed with Jesus and with Sandra at Community Board 6, one of the initiatives we have coming online in the coming year is something called the Midtown Cultural Alliance. And this is trying to coordinate between Japan Society, Scandinavia House, the L'Alliance, which used to be the French Cultural Institute, now renamed the L'Alliance, and the Korean Cultural Center. As a beginning, those 4 organizations are partnering to try and create a membership that can access all 4 organizations. And through a collaboration with ID NYC, we will provide a subsidized level of that membership. We haven't, it's very early stages, so we haven't settled on prices or exactly what that describes. But I think all 4 organizations, especially coming out of the pandemic, recognize the need to expand service to underserved audiences in New York City. So, the truth is that these are nonprofits. They're old nonprofits. They're somewhat cumbersome ships to turn around, so things don't move quite as fast as you might like. But certainly there's a lot of planning in the air to try and provide more modes of access to Japan Society. In terms of providing free use of our stage, free use of our facilities, you know, all I can recommend is that I think the more I come to events like this and let people know, please get in touch with us. I mean, we don't know what needs we're not serving unless those needs are voiced to us. And so I want to let you know that, you know, we're here to listen, and you know, the quid pro quo of, we hope that you will support us, and we hope that we're in a position to support you. And especially if we were to be so fortunate as to get this grant, it would be very incumbent upon us to find ways to serve the community. So the question needs to be asked, and once it's asked, I suppose we can begin working our way towards an answer.
Wonderful. And I welcome an answer when it arrives. And thank you so much. Good luck with your grant.
Thank you. You're very welcome. And it looks like
Vice Chair Sarah Whittington.
Yes, I hope you're hearing me. I wanted to say, you know, the venue is amazing. The architecture is, you know, very welcoming, serene. And my question would be, I know we're, you know, wanting to support your initiatives for the theater, but is there another part of the building that might be used for some of our community board meetings, you know, once a month, as I'm following up on the previous question, but when I've been in the building, I noticed that at the reception desk straight ahead, it looks like there might be a little conference room. I wasn't able to get in there. I don't know how big it is, but is that an opportunity for us to be able to come there and have a meeting? Would be
there's 3 public venues within Japan Society. There's the auditorium, which can be a big lift because it's 280 seats and obviously heavily used. The room you're talking about is what we call the Marase room, and that room is often used by all sorts of people. Like I said, when the United Nations Food Security Program came in, that was the room that they sat in. It's also used by local school groups that come in, so I do know that we make it free available to those kinds of people. So there is a precedent for community benefit use of this space. The third space is a much smaller space upstairs that's called the Sony Sky Room, and it really only holds about 12 people, so it probably would be too small to be useful. But between the auditorium and the Marase room, I think it would be very exciting for us to try and work on some kind of a partnership that would allow Community Board 6 to feel that they had a welcoming home there. So let's ask the question, and let's try and make the powers that be say yes. I can't say yes myself because that's not my role, but certainly the more we ask, I think the more likely it becomes.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Anyone else? I don't see anyone. So, you know, thank you so much, Jamie, for coming in, and Madam Vice Chair Sarah, she also worked on a resolution. So for the committee, we have a resolution that we would like to present and to take a vote on it to see what our position is. Marty.
Okay, yeah. It's missing 2 whereases. One being the description of the New York State Council on the Arts, that it's an agency funded by this New York State that then funds projects, arts and cultural projects around the state. And the other whereas is that the Japan Society has applied for a grant.
Okay, one second.
You don't have either of those whereases. You have the title that requests the grant, but there's not a whereas that indicates that, which it should.
And to add to that, Sarah and Marty and Neil, the revised amount, I believe, is $79,500, just so you know. That's what I saw.
Yeah, I noticed, I recorded that. I noticed that was a change, yes.
Yeah.
So those 2 can be added into the resolution.
Oh, this is a beautiful resolution. It's so nice to see it written out there. Thank you guys so much. I love whereas resolutions.
Well, I appreciate Marty's two suggestions to add to that resolution, and it is my pleasure to present this resolution for the letter of support to the Japan Society for its endeavors to upgrade the theater. This society provides a lot for our community, and as Jamie has said, it's been a mainstay in our community for many decades. Provides, he mentioned them all, but I want to mention them again because I think they're very important. The art exhibitions, films, the language classes, and all of this is in a very serene, welcoming, architecturally stunning building. So I think the resolution speaks for itself, and the benefits of supporting this endeavor would benefit all of us. So I hope we're able to help you.
And we appreciate that. And certainly the other, further afield, I know that as Dag Hammarskjöld Park opens back up, there's lots of conversations between us and the Friends of Dag Hammarskjöld Park and various other places around about how we can potentially make better use of or make good use of that wonderful asset. So surely this will not be the first time that we come to your committee to talk over plans and try and get on the same page.
Great, thank you. So we've seen the resolution. What do you think, Marty? Anton? Anyone?
Call the question?
Yep. Okay.
So a motion has been made and seconded on a resolution supporting the Japan Society's request for a grant of $79,500 from the New York State Council on the Arts to upgrade the Japan Society Theater. When I call your name, please answer in favor, opposed, abstain, or not entitled. Marty Barrett.
In favor.
Thank you. Paige Judge.
In favor.
Thank you. Anton Mullen.
In favor.
Thank you. Reshma Patel.
In favor.
Thank you. Letty Simon.
In favor.
Thank you. Mark Thompson.
In favor.
Thank you. Neil Butt.
In favor.
Thank you. Sarah Whittington.
In favor.
Thank you. Robert Barford.
In favor.
Thank you. Gloria Hage.
In favor.
Thank you. Rabia Iqbal.
In favor.
Thank you. With 11 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstaining, and 0 not entitled, the motion passes.
Well,
Right.
allow me to say, first of all, thank you so much for having us here. And it's gratifying to me just to put a face with it. I was brought on about a year ago, and one of my roles is to try and strengthen connections between Japan Society and various government organizations in the city of New York. So it's a great pleasure for me to be here. I personally live in Greenpoint. I'm a big supporter of community boards in Greenpoint. I've seen all the good that they can do in a neighborhood that's reeling from what some might refer to as excessive development right now. So I really do appreciate the community boards, and I look forward to coming and talking with you guys more as things develop and about new projects that we might have in the future. So thank you guys for the work you do. Thank you for having us here, and keep on keeping on, if you will.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. No, because I don't have the thing in front of me. So I don't have any chairs report, and old new business. We don't have anything there. We'll waive it. Michael Cohen, though, I think he would like to speak. Is Michael still available?
Okay, promoting Michael to panelist.
Yeah, yep, if he's still available and he wants to add something. Okay, there he is.
Michael, you should be able to unmute.
Yes, I would like to speak about the Astor Levy Recreation Center. I want to know more about what they're planning to do to improve the pool there because it was closed all last summer.
So yeah, what we could do, we can ask about that. It does from what I guess what we're hearing that it will be open this year. So that's, I mean, is that, I guess, does that help you out, that it's gonna be open this year, that you could go?
I want to know what kind of maintenance work or upgrades they were doing to the pool.
Okay. Okay, we could find out. We can get some detailed information for you. Not a problem.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, I think that's it. So everyone, stay warm and prepare for the snow. We'll see how much we get, right? Okay. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night,
Take care.
everybody. Bye-bye.